Let's see. GM Vault says the PCs had to get info from the Thieves Guild to find and destroy an assassin training camp. That's excuse me, ma'am. Hi. Yeah, you can meow all you want, but please don't destroy my chair. Was this a low-level adventure to go into an assassin's training camp? That seems like a very good challenge right off the bat. You know, part sneaking mission, maybe very espionage-y. One wrong move and a bunch of assassins will just drop out of nowhere on you and get all that bonus damage. They're level 6? Okay. I mean, you could run something like that at level 1, I suppose, but maybe in concept. Alright, new recruit, your first mission is to try and destroy an assassin's training camp. You're like, what? I'm just looking for some adventuring employment, not to, you know, get myself murked right off the bat. Oh, and speaking of the Tumbled Wench, there will be some... I will have sort of like the official mascot also of the Tumbled Wench. Maybe this coming week? Definitely sometime in September that will be finished. And I'll show it off to you all, so you can see what's like hanging on the placard. So you can see what's hanging on the placard outside the inn. Anytime that it's brought up in our Discord channel or when I bring it up in roleplay, since tumbled wenches are just, hey, ma'am, are a cosmic force, and any town that's a town has a tumbled wench. I actually don't eat candy all that often, Bro Player. I don't mind them, and I'll tell you, from a DM perspective, Starbursts are interesting, because you do get several different varieties that come in a pack of them, and Starbursts in a pinch are very good to act as miniatures on a tabletop, because they're little 1-inch squares of different color, and the candies are wrapped in a wax paper. And so if you use some kind of a marker, like a water-soluble marker, you know, and you say, okay, all the yellow Starburst are goblins, and, you know, all the orange ones are hobgoblins, or something along those lines. You can then, you can even make a letter designation and say, okay, so all the pink ones are hobgoblins, but I'm going to put an A on the ones with that are archers, that have bows and arrows, and I'm going to put an S on all the ones that have swords. And then the benefit to that is not only do you have relatively inexpensive miniatures that are easy to identify and fit well on your grid, you can, if you want to encourage their defeat, you tell your party members, you tell your PCs as a DM, it's kill and keep, boys. If you knock off a hobgoblin, you get that starburst and enjoy the savory flavor of your fallen foe. Hashtag not sponsored. Ma'am. Go get it. Casual RP, thank you very much for the host. GM Vault, one of the PCs was going to help his kidnapped brother and the family's manservant. They did good, some well-placed fireballs from the wizard from atop a ridge. The PC found out that his two older brothers had faked the kidnapping, and the ransom money paid to the assassins was actually payment to kill their father. Ooh, wow. GM Vault says Christmas Rolo candies work well too. Well, GM Vault, I'm expecting a very tasty video on this very subject. The concept of kill and keep. Which, by the way, could be interesting if you did that with miniatures, right? Everyone kind of throws their money into a hat. And this is not related to what's happening down here. But I'm talking in like a convention sense. Or even at home. If you have a bunch of spare stuff, and you know, you put little goblin minis, a bunch of commons and whatnot, you can do it that way. Although there's nothing like savoring a sweet victory of of some candy killing keeps on your tactical map. It's been so long, I think I've forgotten how to edit videos. What, Ray? Oh, on the YouTubes again, are you, kiddos? I was once on the YouTubes. There were several of us, actually. We would all get together through an IM now and again. Nowadays, you kids with your smashing that bell and the liking, following, snurbing. All right, let's delve into it, shall we? This section teaches you how to modify existing races as well as create new ones. The most important step in customizing or designing races for your campaign is to start with the story behind the race or sub-race you wish to create. Having a firm idea of a race's story in your campaign will help you make decisions during the campaign process. Hi. Meow, indeed. Okay. You put little holes in my green screen, ma'am. Excuse you. Why does my campaign need the race to be playable? You may ask. What does the race look like? You may ask. How would I describe the race's culture? Where do the members of this race live? Are there interesting conflicts built into the race's history and culture that make the race compelling from a storytelling standpoint? What is the race's relationship to the other playable races? What classes and backgrounds are well suited to members of the race? What are the race's signature traits? In the case of a new sub-race, what sets it apart from the other sub-races of the parent race? Really? Really? It's going to be one of those nights. There is kind of a, well, there's an avian race that exists already, Bro Applier. So we can, there's actually two. I don't know if she'd do that necessarily, but she is all kinds of wound up. I don't have your ring. Where's your ring? I can't throw it if you don't have it over here. But anyway, she's it's got to be one of those nights. We can look at something along those lines. I do have Volo's Guide to Monsters open, so we can look at the Kenku as a race. Although there is a style or a type of race that I did want to bring up, partially brought on by our conversation about making and adjusting monsters from the other night. Compare the race you have in mind with the other race options available to players to make sure that the new race doesn't pale in comparison to the existing options, which would result in the race being unpopular, or completely overshadow them so the players don't feel that the other options are inferior. When the time comes to design the game elements of the race, such as traits, take a look at the game's existing race and let them inspire you. A simple way to modify an existing race is to change its appearance. Changes to a race's appearance need not affect its game elements. For example, you could transform halflings into anthropomorphic mice without changing their racial traits at all. And so kind of a hashtag humble brag, you could totally play Mouse Guard in D&D. Wink. Wink. And that's true. There's nothing you necessarily have to change if you want to make halflings into mice people. Right? They're already smaller, kind of skitterish. You know, they are, you know, very nimble. And in many times, mice can be lucky. Not all of them escape the cat, but many do. Or they'll be lucky enough to find a very convenient, you know, like a gutter or a drain, or they could slip under a door that is open ever so slightly. I don't know if I'll be doing something like that. I don't know if I'll be doing something like that, Bro Applier. I mean, stay tuned, and you'll see one example that I have in mind. But when you're creating something like that, remember that characters can make good jokes, but jokes don't often make good characters. And I'm not trying to keep you from being creative. But think about it that way. You have, you know, you go through the time and the effort to create and try and balance this race. And, you know, whereas you have the Dragonborn who have a variety of breath weapons, you know, with the fun example that you provided there, I mean, it's comical to think about. But how would that play out in a game setting? You know, you may not always be able to use that power due to the nature of it. You might find yourself, you know, rushed out of a village because, oh, here come those people doing that thing they do, you know, and I don't want my restaurant set on fire or anything along those lines. GM Vault, changing racial appearance is also a good way of mixing up monsters for players that memorize the monster manual. Ice goblins, white or pale blue skin, and give them cold resistance. Yes, exactly, GM Vault. So a lot of, I think, what we're talking about tonight will parallel what we were discussing when we were coming up with monster ideas. See, something like that could be very powerful, Bro Applier. And you would want to make sure that you're starting with this concept. And then look at the player's handbook, if you have a copy of it in front of you, and say, okay, using this as a guideline, how would I fit in this concept?
Can I get the huge Earth Titan and 2 random boxes? Chat, you decide.
Oh, the Earth Titan. Oh boy. Let me grab that for you here. So, 3-inch base. I mean, look. Ma'am, come on now. I really am just going to close you out of the room if you keep this up. I understand you're playful, you're happy, it's wonderful. I do want to play with you, I just can't right now. How do you walk that line, right? You know you love your pets, and they love you, and they want to play, and it's the best thing ever, and you just can't right now. Okay, so you are going to be getting, by the way, I love that it has the moss on the shoulders and such. That's a fun detail on this thing. Alright, so DJ Delta wants the huge Earth Titan and 2 random boxes. Chat, Delta has... Delta can get... I have 1 Rage of Demons left. I have 1 Elemental Evil left. And then I have 5 Monster Menagerie left, including this one. So if it really comes down to it, I have 7 boxes. I can just roll... I can roll a D8 twice. And we can do it that way. Delta. Bro Plier suggesting you go with Rage of Demons and the Monster Menagerie. Are you accepting Bro Plier's advice? As for what computer do I have, Bro Plier? I bought, in January, I bought a refurbished, Dell. So, hey, ma'am, please. Yes, I'll open these minis up real quick and then, like, I love you tremendously. I seriously do. But I also can't do this right now, ma'am. Alright, well, let me know when you're ready, DJ.
Or better yet, why not them all?
Why not them all? Oh, snap, DJ. Alrighty. That'd do it. So I will, I will pop these open, as we continue to have a conversation then. Thank you very much, DJ. I appreciate your support, and, let me know, if you want me to hang on to all these in a box until sometime, or if you want it shipped out as soon as possible, let me know, and we'll go from there. So I'll start with the Rage of Demons. Diadems is blown away, and DJ Delta, you are on the lead. You have overtaken Diadems on the board. So, cosmetic alterations or just changing one little aspect, like what GM Vault suggested. You know, do you have players who, you know, and they may not have done so even maliciously. Look, sometimes you play D&D often enough, and you get to the point where you say, it's goblins, gotcha. Goblins have, you know, some group tactic, or they have some kind of a mechanic where they do X, Y, or Z, and suddenly, perhaps tactical combat isn't so tactical anymore because the enemy is known. And so reskinning your monsters is a good way to change it up, even if it's something small, right? And so as you describe a creature that, you know as an ice goblin, kind of like what GM Vault was talking about, well, maybe they actually have little horns on their head, where goblins normally don't. And you can add in a little alteration like that, and that can baffle your players. When you're pretty much running a statistical goblin, you just throw on 1 ice resistance, which doesn't really change its CR all that much. And of course, the horns don't really matter. By the way, you have a flying base in this one. Pouty Lips, no. Though DJ Delta bought all my remaining boxes. So we're going to be opening up 7 boxes on stream. Diadems, not necessarily. I will be getting a restock unless Diadems you want any unless you want any singles off of the list here. Otherwise, you can hang on to them because I should be getting fresh bricks of minis in this coming week. That'll be up to you. Here we go. This way I can still present, and we can get some good maybe we can get some good racial inspiration as well. All right, so cultural alterations. By the way, speaking of a different culture or a subspecies, here is a Darrow. And a shield dwarf wizard. In your world, elves might be desert nomads instead of forest dwellers. Halflings might live in cloud cities, and dwarves might be sailors instead of miners. I've done that. They have a very good low center of gravity. I think dwarves would make excellent sailors, despite... it's not really canon, but despite what was put forward, especially in the Dragonlance books, you know, where they're afraid of horses and water. Like, I don't know. I don't know about that. You can make minor change to a culture of a race. You can also make minor alterations to the race's proficiencies and traits to reflect that culture. For example, imagine that the dwarves of your world are seafarers and inventors of gunpowder. You could add the pistol and musket to the list of weapons that dwarves are proficient with, and give them proficiency with waterborne vehicles instead of artisan's tools. These two small changes tell a different story than the default assumptions about dwarves in the player's handbook, without changing the power level of the race, and that makes a very good point. Don't be afraid to make those cultural alterations. It's something when we're sitting down making random characters, I try and bring up often. In the player's handbook, it gives you 3 choices. It gives you 3 choices for artisan's tools to give to your players. And well, what if your character just doesn't do that? You know, dwarves need barrels and boots and other things made. You know, a Kuo-Toa Arc Priest is the normal uncommon out of this box. A Kuo-Toa Arc Priest. It's fine, DJ. I'm going through the minis of a Rage of Demons here for you. And your big piece, your piece de resistance, is an Efreet. It does have a flying base as well. An Efreet. Alright, Forsaken, no problem. Alright, so... Delta, did you want the Efreet? Which piece did you want? You said the first one, but I don't know what that's indicating. Now, instead of a new sort of father race, you can just come up with a new sub-race you can dovetail into an existing race. Creating a new sub-race is more involved than making some minor tweaks to existing racial features, but it does have the advantage of increasing the diversity of options for a particular race, rather than replacing some options with other ones. The following example walks through the creation of an elf sub-race, the Eladrin, which, by the way, did end up getting published later. Yeah, so Rage of Demons, you want the Efreet out of it. Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha. Alrighty. As we narrate, I'm going to pop open the Elemental Evil now. This subrace has history in the D&D multiverse, so you already have some stories to draw on building its traits. So here's an example subrace of the Eladrin. Creatures of magic with strong ties to nature, Eladrin live in the twilight realm of the Feywild. Their cities sometimes cross over into the material plane, appearing briefly in mountain valleys or deep forest glades, before fading back into the Feywild. The elf subraces in the player's handbook include an ability score increase, a weapon training feature, and 2 or 3 additional traits. Given the story of the Eladrin and their magical nature, an increase to an Eladrin character's intelligence is appropriate. There's no need to alter the basic weapon training shared by High Elves and Wood Elves. An ability that sets the Eladrin apart from other elves is their ability to step through the boundary between planes, disappearing for a moment before reappearing somewhere else. In the game, this is reflected in limited use of the Misty Step spell. Since Misty Step is a 2nd level spell, this ability is potent enough that the subrace doesn't need additional traits. This leaves us with the following features for the Eladrin subrace. Your intelligence score increases by 1. Remember, this is on top of elves, so they're already going to get +2 dex, elven, whatever the weapon, or there's elf weapon training, and then they call Misty Step Fey Step here. But you're going to get the low light vision, you're going to get all that extra stuff. I'm sorry, low light. You're going to get the dark vision that elves get. Hey, Megmags the Fox, welcome back. It's great to see you. I hope you've been well. What adventures have you been on, Fox? Yeah, so making minor tweaks like that, DJ Delta, doesn't upset the power too greatly. And don't be afraid to do that. If it's just a minor tweak here and there, you're not going to upset the power level too much. I mean, ultimately, though, you're the DM, and you can decide that for yourself. First up is a troglodyte out of your Elemental Evil box. A troglodyte. Yeah, I remember your spider raccoon. So we brought that up. I didn't bring it up when we were creating monsters the other night, though. Next up is a Gnoll fighter. For being on a medium base, this is a big boy. A Gnoll fighter. Yeah, trogs are stinky, Evelyn. Alright. Now we come up to a choice that you have, Delta. Because you have a rare and a large uncommon in your box. So your choice is between a large air elemental, or if you don't want the large air elemental, you have a rare piece that's a fire myrmidon. So this is a fire elemental that is wearing armor and wielding weapons. If my camera will, do its thing. There we go. So you can choose either the large air elemental or the fire myrmidon, since you have a large uncommon and a rare. You want that hot myrmidon. Okay, gotcha. So, where did I... There we go. So that'll put the air elemental in sort of general circulation. Meg Mags, I've been thinking about your spider raccoon. Yeah, the Atatanuk. Because it was supposed to be like an attack Tanuki or something. Or, no, like an Ettercap or something like that. Some sort of the spider Tanuki. But what have you been thinking about it, Meg Mags? The character my family helped me make for our family game is resistant to necrotic and radiant. So is that the that's probably what, the Asimar or the Asimar here? All right, so now we're going to delve into our boxes of Monster Menagerie. Whereas tieflings have fiendish blood in their veins, the Asimar are the descendants of celestial beings. These folk generally appear as glorious humans. ASMR, right? These folk generally appear as glorious humans with lustrous hair, flawless skin, and piercing eyes. Asimar often attempt to pass as humans in order to right wrongs and defend goodness on the material plane without drawing undue attention to their celestial heritage. They strive to fit into society, though they usually rise to the top, becoming revered leaders and honorable heroes. You might decide to use the Asimar as a counterpoint to the Tiefling race. The two races could even be at odds, reflecting some greater conflict between the forces of good and evil in your campaign. Here are our basic goals for the Asimar. Asimar should make effective clerics and paladins. They should be to celestials and humans what tieflings are to fiends and humans. Given that the Asimar and tieflings are like two sides of the same coin, the tiefling makes a good starting point for coming up with the new race's traits. Since we want the Asimar to be effective paladins and clerics, it makes sense to improve their wisdom and charisma instead of intelligence and charisma. Oh my. Delta, you have some interesting choices in here, my friend. One Crit Wonder, hey, we're talking about creating new races, and we're also popping open boxes. DJ Delta has sponsored the last of the boxes that I have for this week. A Cleric Noble, a very good combo, Bro Applier. Alright, so first up is Jarhild Stoneforge. A sword and board dwarven, like a fighter. You could run him as a barbarian too if you really wanted to. That is if my camera will focus. Come on. Alright, well just trust me, this is Jarhild Stoneforge from the website I have up on the one side of the screen. There you go. Next up, you have a Werwolf. So here's a werewolf character. Now you get another choice, DJ Delta. You get another choice. You have a large uncommon in the swarm of bats, right? So it's this miniature up here with a flying stand. It's a swarm of bats. Or, DJ Delta, you can take a Rakshasa. A Rakshasa. His pants are not invisible, I promise. They're just kind of green. So let me know which one you want. Yep, backwards hands. Role-playing them is fun because I would always go like this, and as I'd manipulate, or I'd you know, when I'm playing them, I do this. So. So like Tieflings, the ASMR have dark vision. Instead of resistance to fire damage, we give them resistance to radiant damage to reflect their celestial nature. However, radiant damage isn't as common as fire damage. So we give them resistance to necrotic damage as well, making them good at facing undead. And I'll show you where you can take this into consideration if you want to make a new and parallel race to something else. You want the invisible pants Rakshasa. Alright. Gotcha. Actually, it's over here. Now, if we look... If we look at this chart... Right, what are the most and least resisted damage types? Let's look at fire. Fire has 37 resistances and 40 immunities. So there's almost 80 different monsters that have this. If you look at Radiant, there's 4. Look at Necrotic, here's 22. So that's approaching something close. And if you don't want to look at it compared to other monsters with resistances, there's another chart you can use. This is all of the spells in the player's handbook. And if you look, there are 31 spells that can deal fire damage. So therefore, being fire resistant is pretty good when it comes to magic, because a lot of magic spells deal fire resistance. Now let's look at Radiant. 14. Let's look at Necrotic. 14. So by giving this race 2 kind of similar resistances, they can now resist 28 spells, where a Tiefling can resist 31. And it makes it a little bit more equal. And especially given the fact that if you want them to be effective clerics and paladins, oftentimes clerics and paladins find themselves, in the middle of battles that have radiant necrotic damage flying all around them. So it would be an effective use. I hope that makes sense. If you all, by the way, if you want links to these charts, I can provide them to you if you're curious about them, for maybe your own homebrewing purposes. The Tiefling's Infernal Legacy trait is a good model for a similar trait to reflect a magical celestial heritage. Replacing the Tiefling spells with spells of similar levels that more closely match the ASMR's celestial ancestry. However, the ASMR's expanded resistance might require limiting this trait to basic utility spells. Filling in the remaining details, we end up with the following racial traits for the ASMR character. Your wisdom score increases by 1 and your charisma increases by 2. They age similarly to Tieflings and therefore to humans. Alignment is what it is. Size, ASMR are built like well-proportioned humans. Your size is medium. Your base walking speed is 30 feet. Again, if we're basing this off of Tieflings, none of this is revolutionary. You get dark vision, like you would with a Tiefling. And then you get celestial resistance. You have resistance to necrotic damage and radiant damage. Oh my. There are 2 flying bases in here, DJ Delta. How much for the Werewoo? I will check it out in 1 second for you, Diadems. Alright, from this box, we start off with a Will-O-Wisp, which I promise is actually, it is actually there, and it's not just invisible balls of candy floating around. Actually, technically, there are 4 flying bases in this box. You have Will-O-Wisps. You have next A ghost. Yep. Well, it's an undead that looks like floating pieces of candy that try and lure you into a very bad place, Derek. Will-o-wisps are nothing to, you know, hopefully your mom and dad taught you about will-o-wisps and the danger of them. All right. Delta. You again have a choice between a large uncommon figure and a rare. Are you ready? Your large uncommon, should you want them, we have another swarm of bats. Okay? Another swarm of bats, or an araignées. In other words, it's think of it. You know how demons have a succubus? An araignées is like a devil. It's a devil woman who's a fighter, a magic user, a bit of a temptress as well. I promise. Apparently, she has a natural blurring power. Come on now, camera. Nope, stay on target. Stay on target. There we go. Actually, hang on. This isn't the araignées. This is actually the succubus. That's true. That is a succubus. Sorry. So yeah, you can get the succubus. You want the rare? Got it. Yep. Got it. One succubus is coming your way. So, based on what we've read here, I would like to go and make... I want to make a race with you all. And I am coming into this with a preconceived notion of what I'd like to make, as I don't know if there's necessarily creatures that have come close to it before. And we can draw inspiration from a couple other sources, which is why... I have the monster manual open, and you'll see what I'm going to reference for the theme of this race. But over here on the other side, I also do have Volos. It's behind our open office our writer program, our word processor, that is. I also have Volo's guide open. And I have the Races of Ravnica supplement open, as well as the... Ma'am, hi. I still can't throw, I'm sorry. Here, you brought it really close. Go get it. As well as the... so it's an Unearthed Arcana and the Eberron guide. Because we can always consult with other sources, again, to try and balance conceptually what we're going to build tonight as far as a race. Like the animated show Gargoyles. Yeah, and you know what? You can use a monster as inspiration for just such a thing. Alright, so Delta, before I do the big reveal of the concept I'd like to work with you all in chat to make, we have a fairy dragon as the first pull. A fairy dragon. Yeah, well, just trust me, my camera's having some focus issues, apparently. There we go. Next up is a mummy. A mummy. It is, Dark Wolf, it is. After that, we have a vampire. Ma'am, come on now, really? Why must you destroy my chair? I know, I really do. I know. It's not fair I'm talking to them, is it? It's just not the same. All right. And your big piece out of the box here, Delta, is a unicorn. You had to rehawk Luyers today? Oh, I got you, Dark Wolf. Send the unicorn. Gotcha, boss. Here we go. All right, as I'm coming to the last two boxes to open, I want you all to put your thinking caps on conceptually. Because after I finish these boxes and we talk a little bit about the core concept, I'm going to take a break so that I can throw the ring a little bit and also top off my pitcher of water. And when we come back, we'll actually put some spurs. We'll put some spurs to the word processor and actually make this race and maybe even a sub race or two for it as well. Okay. So. You ready? What I would like to make with you all tonight is some sort of an ooze-based race. Not just as a monster, maybe humanoid, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's almost like a thrycreen where it can have multiple appendages. But I would like to work with you tonight to make an ooze race. Like a playable ooze race. Ma'am, come on. You're killing me. Yeah, My Life with Monster Girls. You keep that out of here, Derek. Just because it's a huge guilty pleasure of mine doesn't... Sue is best girl, says Evelyn. So yeah, maybe we could maybe make it along the lines of an Oblex. Or we will just make it's oozes that gained sentience, right? In fact, there is even some precedent for it, right? Some psychic gray oozes, and also this goes off of what was brought up in our monster conversation when one of our members, who was it? Made a put on 12 levels of monk onto a gray ooze, I believe it was. Let me see if I can find it. I think that was in Project Workshop. Oh yeah, it was Usher of Agony. Usher, are you here? I do not see Usher. So yeah, Usher put 12 levels of monk onto an ooze to see what would happen and how it would change its CR. And much like our experiment with the Bard, the 12 levels of Bard on a Gibbering Mouther, it really only brought up the CR by 1 or 2. Yeah, a gelatinous dude, Roger Twy. I love it. I can't. It is way across the room, ma'am. If you bring it closer, I'll throw it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to give me some time. So yes, I would like you all to consider what do we want to do for a base race of oozes, like a gelatinous cube, and then maybe we can make some sub races like a gray ooze or an ochre jelly. That can go off of that. Speaking of gelatinous cubes, by the way. If you all didn't see yesterday, Derek, whoop, no, it didn't break. Derek got a gelatinous cube miniature. By the way, there's a mimic hiding in there. So that's it normally, and then you can put a miniature in there and have it be enveloped in the cube. It is awesome. It really, really is. Alright, so we're going to start out, and DJ Delta, you have an imp as the first figure. An imp. A little demon. Or a familiar, if you're a warlock. Next up is a giant fire beetle. A giant fire beetle. Yeah, where are the magical ice cream scoops? Let's see. Next up is Bryn Lightfingers. A halfling, maybe a rogue? I don't know. Probably a bard. I bet Bryn Lightfingers is a bard. A College of Valor, I bet. If this will focus, Bryn Lightfingers. And lastly, we have a centaur. A centaur. Which would you like out of here, Delta? The centaur? Got it. Alright. So here was the last pull. Let's bring things back. Alright. Oh, Diadams, did you take Derek up on a suggestion and get some honey whiskey? Yes, that is that is excellent lore, Evelyn. Oh. Oh. Oh, you have some fun. You have some fun. And actually, this is a very thematic box. Okay, so we're going to start out with some will-o-wisps again. So you have the white van that says free candy style monster on it. You then have a dryad. I swear, like, look, her camouflage is so good, you can see through her. You have a dryad. After that, you have a Medusa. So a dryad. Yeah, exactly. Like you can find in the exclamation point random forest. So a dryad, a Medusa, and let's continue our journey into Greek mythology with a large, rare Minotaur figure. Yeah, what a pull indeed. Where's your ring? I don't even see it. You're doing all this meowing. Oh, it's over there. I can't get it from here. Yeah. I just got a half horse and a half human, now a half human, half bull. So with a little kit bashing... She was super self-conscious because whenever she looked at someone, they turned to stone. Oh, yeah, she was a very shy Medusa. I think I remember you talking about that, Ivlon. It was a very cool concept. So Delta, did you want the Minotaur? Do you want the Medusa? What would you like out of that box? All right, sounds like the Minotaur. I'm sorry. You said a half horse, half human, and now a half human, half bull. Got it. All right. So these other ones are going to go up. And then, Diadems, you wanted to know how much that Wear-A-Woo costs. Give me 1 second to triangulate a price for you. That's a fair market value. It looks like $7 is an appropriate market price for that Wear-A-Woo, Diadems. Icy Hot Junior. Oh yeah, the young Remorez. There is a huge Remorez too. Our play group has one. It's fearsome. Did you get it? Did you get the ring? That dreaded foe of the house? She's so proud of herself. Forsaken, I'll trade you my bullet for all of your creatures in your box. Diadems, you already have a box going out to you. So it would just be 50 cents or 50 bits. So it'd be 750 bits to add the Wear-A-Woo to your box. Where'd you go? There we go. All right, the Wear-A-Woo is getting added to Diadem's box. Bing. Done. All right, so Delta. No. The werewolf is not a toy. She didn't bite it or anything. She was just curious about what I dropped in your box. DJ Delta, you says, I will reluctantly not take up... Okay. So, Delta, you want me to ship all of your miniatures to you? And you also want me to ship Forsaken's bullet to you as well, right? You'll take good care of it, won't you, DJ Delta? I'll give you time to think about it. It's very generous, Forsaken. Yep, Diadems. I'll drop it off to the store, and I'll try and get it in the mail. If not tomorrow, then it'll definitely go out on Monday. I'll take another free mini. Well, I guess you'll have to, like, arm wrestle Forsaken for it or something then. But yeah, so there are some floating miniatures out there. Oh, Forsaken, you do want me to send yours with his? I can do that. Oh, that's right. It won't go out on Monday. It's Labor Day. Ha! I'm SMRT. Smart. Oh, going to the same place? Okay. So then, well, if it's a moral victory for you, Forsaken, as I don't... There's the cat. Oh my gosh, why are you going bonkers? I don't have a DJ Delta box, but I do have a Forsaken box. So I'll add his miniatures to your box, and then send Forsaken's miniatures to DJ Delta's address. And everyone wins. Why are you going ham on my... Why are you going ham on my chair? I don't have the catnip out. You're crazy. You're crazy. If I don't survive the break, you'll know why. No, I swear, Diadems, I did not give her any catnip. Or cat water, for that sake. Huh, forsake. Derek, you picked up the box for Monster Menagerie 1. What was in it, Derek? Hey, 12 for 10. Good to see you. NyQuil and duct tape. Good advice. It worked on your kids. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Maybe she is going ham. Yes, she could be going ham on my chair because she does like ham. I do have ham in my fridge, but I didn't give any to her. I didn't. I swears it. Oh, Diadems. Was it you that was talking about that white Draco Lich? I still have the white Draco Lich and the trap set, too. Was that something you wanted me to add in before I ship your stuff out? Yeah, she might... I mean, I fed him before going live because I try and put some food into him to make him tame. Draco Liches are not as scary as regular Liches for some reason. I think it's because people just see that they're big, bulky monsters, and they're like, oh, we can take those down. But a Lich can do anything, even though... What could a Draco Lich not do? The Draco Lich was... 1 second... the white Draco Lich is 40. And I have that right here. My head for scale. Are you quite alright, ma'am? I just got hit upside the back of my head with her tail. I know, you want to play so badly. But I gotta be a meanie because I'm playing with everyone out here right now, okay? We gotta have some human playtime. She just thwapped me on the head again. Yes, 4,000 bits, Diadems. Actually, you know, GM Vault, what you said is correct. Any monster can be formidable if the GM runs them correctly. That has been an ongoing theme that has come up several times over the past week or so. About how... actually, I still have the article open about it. Alright, Diadems. Do you want me to open the box on camera, or do you just want me to send it sealed as it is? Hey, Fanog! Send it as is? Alright. This big box full of white Draco Lich is gonna go with your stuff, and it'll be put in the mail ASAP, my friend. If you go by actual CR tables, every encounter I've ever thrown at my players would be considered deadly. Whoop. What are you doing? Are you attacking my green screen again? I'm right here, you know. Hey. Hey. Meow. Yeah. Oh gosh. All right. Pouty Lips, if you want to see the Draco Lich, here. Here's a review of it. So it is packed long ways, like diagonally, as in the wingspan. I'm a big dude. I'm 6'1". I have a very large noggin. So when he opens it, it's gonna be wingtip to wingtip diagonally. Maybe 10 inches. No, a foot. Probably closer to a foot. Yeah, well. Something like that. I was thinking con bonus for the Ooze race. You look at dwarves and see Duragar and think, dang, those guys are almost all the way there. Yeah, we can base it off of another race in some sense. Ow! Hey! No, don't brace yourself on me. Hi. All right. Clearly, I need a break, and she needs something. So why don't we meet back here in about 10 minutes, and we'll I may not have a cat in the next portion here, as I hope to sufficiently distract her enough to not have to worry about her clawing my back, clawing my chair, just running around meowing everywhere. Like the absolute madwoman that she is. Alright, all the stuff is in Forsaken's box. Diadems, all of your stuff is together. And, DJ Delta, do you want me to send out the box now, like, as soon as possible? She needs some milk. She needs something. Yes. XCat Darkness, welcome. I'm gonna be taking a short break, and when we come back, we are going to make a race based on oozes. Oh, thank you for that follow, XCat. So, hang tight. We will be back, and when we do, we will use the DMG and the Monster Manual to come up with an Ooze-based race that we'll make together as a group here on stream. And then, hey, if any of you want to play it at home and play test it, see if it's very powerful, underpowered, that could be cool. An Ooze Draco Lich. Alright, I will be back shortly.